Well, good morning, everyone. Today's episode is going to be a great one because it is the one that has had the biggest impact on my business personally. So I am super excited.
Yes, welcome to the show, everyone. If this is your first time tuning in, be sure to say hello, even if you're watching the replay or listening to us wherever you're at. And today's show is all about this one thing that we all have to use in our business, that we all need to get better at. There's room for opportunities for all of us. And today we're going to be talking about it. It's email. Now, don't be running to the hills yet, because if that was your first instinct, that you probably really need to be here for this episode. Let's just be honest, okay?
It's true.
Uh, you know, it's one of those topics that not a lot of people really dive into. And I know between Amanda and I, we are both like email freaks. Like we we'll dive more into that, but it's like one of those things that I don't know if it's because texting, I feel like, came out so quickly around email. I don't know. But whatever it is, there's opportunities for everyone to improve on their emails. I am sure including us too.
Totally.
But we're going to talk about the one thing that I keep seeing happen on Facebook. I mean, it happens on any social platform, but I notice it a lot on Facebook because I'm also part of a lot of Facebook groups, including ones for real estate agents. And I know that no matter what type of business you're in, one of the biggest complaints when it comes to email is what, Amanda? What do you think the biggest complaint that people have around email?
Oh, gosh. I can think of so many complaints I hear. I don't know what I would think the biggest one is.
They get too
Um,
much of it.
oh, yes. Okay.
Their inbox is
I was thinking more in
full.
the weeds.
Yes, their inbox is full. I mean,
Yes.
how many of you are thinking right now,
Mhm.
I don't even want to know what's in my inbox?
Totally.
My, listen, I know.
Especially on a Monday morning.
Yes,
Monday morning is like if you're someone who takes off the weekend or even a day in the weekend, like the anxiety from Sunday night to Monday night for that, like I used to have to like, how bad is it? Like pink my eyes at it.
yes, it's the worst. And so I know a lot of you have your phones and your numbers, your notifications are well into the triple digits.
Mm-hmm.
That gives me anxiety. And
So
I
much
just want to go
anxiety.
through and like delete,
I know.
organize.
The number of times I've offered for people, I'm like, please, you don't even have to pay me. It'll make my little heart so happy. Please just let me take away all your notifications.
Yes. And so that's why we wanted to talk to you on this episode about email and what's happening and how you can start to save yourself from your inbox, because
Totally.
there's so many tips and tricks out there that you can do. This one is definitely going to make a huge impact if you actually implement it.
Mhm.
And so diving in, what I'm seeing a lot on Facebook groups and just general Facebook or social media posts, I should say, is people are dropping their email
Mhm.
publicly as if it was somebody drinking water out of the tap. Like, that's probably the weirdest analogy, but that's what
It's
came
just
to
like
me.
free money, right? Like, here
Yeah.
you go. Here's my checkbook. Take what you want.
Yes. For example, one of the posts that is in one of these Facebook groups was, want to see a weekly Zillow hack that got us 23 listings last year. Which, great, that's a good hook. Yeah, you got the
Yeah.
hook out there, you got people's attention. And I will tell you that the comments just were
Blew
full
up.
of people dropping their email like it was no big deal. Even in a group, which is still technically public because you're
Yeah,
in a group with how many hundreds or thousands of people. Like, you're not,
totally.
it's not one on one where I'm like, hey, Amanda,
Mhm.
yes, please send me that. Here's my email. And it's only Amanda and I.
Yeah, it's just us. It's not like
Mhm.
a private message. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that to me is always a red flag. And I see this
Mhm.
constantly. And it's one of those things where I'm like, that is one thing that you could fix right away, where you can ask them privately. You can do other things around that, but don't just drop your email so freely on a social media site.
Totally. Because here's what's going to happen. And this happens all the time when you start to give your email out. Like it's different when you pass your business cards out because I guess it's a slower process, right? But like, let's say you're teaching a class to like 10,000 people and you offer up your personal email address. Like, great that you taught the class, even if it's 100 people, but now you're going to get a bunch of requests, right? Like, hey, you mentioned this in your class. You did this. Oh, hey, I see that you do it on Zillow. Do you do it on Redfin? Like all these email requests automatically, and great because you want to come from contribution and be a resource. But now you're in this place of like having to choose to be a resource, but it's like thousands of emails, and these people don't recognize that because they're just asking you for their one thing. So totally agree with that.
Yeah, and let's talk about strategy here in a second as
Yeah.
well, because now that you know that dropping your email just freely in the
Mhm.
comments on a social platform is probably not the best idea, unless, and here's the plot twist, right? Is unless you have a strategy behind it.
Yeah.
And so before we started the show, Amanda had asked me, or had mentioned, I should say, she was curious about, what my strategy
Yeah.
was around this. And I will say I rarely drop any of
Mhm.
my email addresses on a social post like that. And I'll dive into that in a second, what I mean by my addresses. But when it comes to certain posts, there might be a time where I might drop one, but my strategy is to make sure that I am protective of the information that I'm sharing as much as possible, of course, when it comes to especially email, because email is like my thing. Like
Yep.
business should be done through email. That's just how I see it.
100%.
It's hard because all of us, we all have our different communication styles. We like to text, especially if you're an agent, you want things instant. There's
Totally.
certain times for certain things, but I think it always should come back to email. And the reason why is, well, there's plenty of reasons, but one of the reasons is because it's going to save you so much time if you have the right systems and processes in place
Totally.
for that.
Well,
And
and
so,
because the one place, this is what I struggle with in
yes,
the real estate world, is because agents have a habit of communicating in all the ways, right? They'll send us a voice note, they'll call us, they'll give us a voice mail, they'll text us, they'll email us, they'll Facebook message us.
yes,
And so for us on the more of the operational and administrative side, we have to let's say a listing, you might text me it's 3% commission and then
right.
email me the price and then voice note me that we're going live on a new day. Now I have to keep all of this in my head. And when I think about it, even from the real estate agent's perspective, like us admin type we're pretty great at, it makes it a little harder, but we're pretty great at keeping all our ducks in a row. But from the agent's perspective, I would hate for them to go, ah, what commission did I tell Amanda? What live date? What instructions did I give her? And then have to remember where I put it. Whereas instead I can know I do all business out of email. So if I'm looking for my answer, it's right here. I don't have to go and search 5 different platforms for it.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Oh my gosh. Okay.
I know we could do a whole,
We can
we
do
need
a
like an
whole,
email series.
yes, yes, which we've talked about, by the way. So
We
those who are
have.
tuning in, we already talked about that because Amanda does client care services. And so this is all right up her alley. So
Yeah.
we have talked about it. Trust me. And you can share whatever you like in the comments as to what you would like to see or any questions you have,
Yeah.
because that will help facilitate what that episode will look like.
Sure. And even your struggles around email. Like, I think that'd be a great
Yeah.
follow up to this episode is the things that you guys are struggling with in your email that maybe we don't touch on. I think that would be a great, or even live if you're here
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, I'm typing this in the comments, so that's why I'm pausing for a second. What struggles do you have around email? There you go. And so when it comes to dropping your email address, you got to have a strategy, right?
Mhm.
Just like anything. And so one of the things that I do when it comes to email, and it something that you might already have, but you don't actually actively use it and you don't have the strategy in place.
Yep.
So I have my main email, which is basically my inbox, my protected email that is real business, like my clients, my prospects, like
Mhm.
real business goes there. Then I have my secondary email
Okay.
address, which is what I use primarily for signups,
Okay.
dropping it maybe on social media. like all of those types of things,
So kind of more your lead generation email, if you will.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
I'm
And
tracking.
so the reason I do that is because it's allows me to have a separate inbox without even sorting. Like we're not even getting into sorting yet. This is just literally email address to inbox. I basically have two inboxes, one that I know I have to pay attention to and prioritize because this is where the money is at. And then another one, which is just informational.
Yeah.
So it could have money, don't get me wrong, but this is one that I can get to when I have time.
This is more of like the day to day is how I'm viewing it. Like this is like everything. And then this is,
Yes.
kind of these are the people I'm connecting with. So you can, I'm assuming, and I could be wrong, and I'd love to know your answer. I'm assuming you time block to go into that connection one and
Yes.
handle the to-dos.
Yes, and that goes back to that time blocking that we've talked about on previous episodes as
Yeah.
well. And something that we talk about all the time, no matter what your business is, no matter what you're trying to do. Listen, when I'm working with my clients, I even with the video part,
Mhm.
especially with the video part, we start with a time blocking exercise. We call it a time audit. We go through and we make sure that we can find the time because one of the biggest excuses when it comes to going live or creating video content or even social posts is I don't have time.
Mhm.
It's our natural defense. And so part of my job is to help you unblock that and find that time. And so same thing applies here. You have these two different inboxes and then you find the time where you can go into the other informational one to kind of sort through. Um, one of our
Pretty
questions
neat
that
idea.
came, yeah, yeah, I love that you guys are sharing live questions. So this is beautiful. One of the questions that came in said, "How can we politely cut people off that are flooding us?"
I love
Oh,
this one.
do you have? Do
I'd
you
love
want?
to take this one. Yeah,
Yes,
because
go
this
for
is,
it.
and I love you real estate agents, and sometimes this is you, right? Sometimes you guys are like, I want this now, and it's wonderful. But here's what I do, because I think oftentimes it's innocent, right? I don't think anyone's trying to just be a jerk, right? I don't, or, and not even be a jerk. I don't think anyone's trying to show up in that way where it frustrates, annoys us, or has any type of emotional response. I think they just want information. Here's what I do is I have to politely remind them that they're not my only client. And how I do that is I first start by saying, "Hey, this is in queue." So I respond to every email. "Hey Ed, this is in queue," or "Thanks for the info. This is in queue. I'll be in touch with, needs or depending on what it is they're asking of me, right?" But let's say someone sends me an email and says, "Hey Amanda, um, I'd love to meet to discuss X, Y, and Z new project." "Hey
Yep.
Ed, thanks so much. I've added this to my list. I'll be in touch with dates." And then I can give them a time, right? So then they know what to expect. Now, sometimes I don't know the time because maybe it's a way lower priority and it's just as I get to it, which traditionally speaking is within the 24 hours of receiving it. That's when I just respond, "Hey, in queue, be in touch soon," right? And then I'll give them the specifics when I'm back in queue. But that to me, when I receive an in queue message back, I'm like, okay, this person's got it on their list, which this is how I leverage my inbox as well, which we'll get to that because I have a pro tip on it. I have a lean in moment, if you will.
Yes.
Um, but when I tell them it's in queue, I think naturally their brains go, okay, it's handled. She's handled it. And I
Mm,
can trust this. And it takes a little bit of building, right? Your people are going to have to learn that they can trust that you're going to do the things that you say you're going to do.
yeah.
But when you do that, over time, you'll build that rapport. But I think it triggers them to know, okay, this is being handled. It's not just because when you don't answer, they think, did it go to spam? Did she not read it? Does she not care? Is she not working? Is she dead? Like
Yes.
their brain, and then it goes crazy, right? Because then you're like, I need an answer on this now,
Right.
versus when I can just handle it and say, hey, this is in queue. Or if I know it's going to be a busy day, like I just got a message for a meeting request today and I'm not sure I have the time today. So I'll respond and say, hey, I'm in back-to-back meetings until this time. I'll check my calendar and be in touch, right? So now they know, hey, I'm not ignoring you. I just literally don't have a spare moment in my calendar right now to answer you.
Oh my gosh. So much to unpack right there.
I know.
Okay, I love this. So if you are who are tuning in, did not catch the comment about the 24-hour period, that was like trigger number one. It's like, oh,
Mhm.
So again, we're talking about this is all part of a strategy, the systems and processes that Amanda
Totally.
has laid out for her business to be able to do this. And this is something that we all have
Mhm.
opportunity to do with ours. And so that was the first one. The second one is you're acknowledging the other person. So
Mhm.
you're letting them know that you received it, which at the end of the day, that's all we want is to be able to understand that we're able to be heard, right? I
Totally.
mean, no matter what platform, no matter what we're doing, we just want to be understood and heard. And
Yeah.
so there's that. And of course, there's auto responders that you can
Mhm.
set up. There's so many different routes to go. And then you also mentioned the fact like now you're creating
Mhm.
space on your calendar, your task list, whatever it may be,
Mhm.
to go back to that email.
Yeah.
So when we open the show talking about how email should be the foundation for your business, not text or messenger or WhatsApp or whatever it is, it should always come back to email at the end of the day, is for that right there. Because
Totally.
you can
Mhm.
read or unread your message. You
Yep.
can sort it. You can have a system in place for auto follow ups. You
Yep.
can have a tagging system like I'm able to pop it into my social or sorry, my project management system and put a reminder. You can even do that
Totally.
directly from your inbox, depending on your system.
You
Like,
schedule the email.
yes, yes, there's
Sometimes
like,
I do that. Sometimes I don't want, okay, any of my clients that are listening, tune out for a second. I don't want people to know that I might work at midnight some nights. I'm a
right.
single lady. It's just me and a cat. I don't sleep very well. And so sometimes I can get a lot done in the wee hours, but I don't want to set the expectation that I'm always going to be available at midnight. So there's so
Yes.
many different ways that you can manage your email that feels good to you
Yeah.
without, there's just so many tools, I guess, that before I started leveraging email at a high level, I had no awareness of.
Yes. And that's why it's so important to embrace email and love it. I feel like it's almost like talking to people who I'm wanting to embrace video
Yeah,
and use it because the benefits are amazing. And once you can get
totally.
on top of it, you really do have
Mhm.
a well-oiled machine, and it allows you to really run through. Because
Yeah,
what I see a lot with people who love text is that you're running from place to place and you're making quick decisions in the moment, and you're either reading someone's text
mhm,
and then getting distracted and can't answer it at the moment, but then you don't go back because you
mhm.
got like 20 other texts that are all
Well,
read.
there's no flag.
Yeah,
There's
that you
no,
haven't gone back to. It's
"How you're trusting this," which is this, I don't wanna have to trust this. I wanna trust
yeah,
this.
and you're making it work too hard. You're
Yeah,
burning way too many calories, brain calories that are not going to help with your Apple Watch, okay? Like
totally. And
these are the ones.
when I do that, naturally, I am obsessing all night about it. When I'm relying on my brain for things, I'm up and I'm like, "Oh gosh, I know I was supposed to text someone back. Who was it?" And then I'm rereading all my conversations to be like, "What did I miss? Where's the ball dropped?" And that's why I don't want to rely on this because that is a stressful life.
Yeah.
And so here's another pro tip. I have so many of them because email was such a painful thing for me because I used to live, and I'll get into that in a second, but I used to live
Yeah.
and die by my email. And so fine if you want to leverage text. We're not saying, "Hey Ed, don't text me." Like client text me and I'm like, "Hey Ed, you're gonna have to email me. I only do business and email." You don't have to show up like that. You can
Right.
still leverage your text message,
Oh
but
yeah.
make it fit into your email, right? So sometimes I'll
Yes.
screenshot a text conversation and then put at the subject whatever the to do is. Maybe Ed wants me to send him a new proposal for a project, and we had a conversation in text. I'll screenshot the text, email it to myself, and the
Yes.
subject line, right? Send Ed new proposal, and then I will share my filing system. That'll be my pro tip later because
Yeah.
it's very refined over the last 8 years that I've dived in. But um, I file it there and then I handle it when I time block it, right? That's my system because I try to live and die by my calendar, not by my email. Because if I live
Yes.
and die by my email and my email being like what runs all of my days, I never get the important stuff done. And so instead, I
It's
time block the important stuff and then I come back into my email at set times that are time blocked and check it. But that way you can leverage text in a way that's, or voicemail. Sometimes I'll email myself the voicemail, or I'll email myself the to do from the voicemail. That's how I ensure that I'm not going to drop the ball on things that I'm communicating about in other platforms.
Yes, and you bring up such a great point. And so again, it goes back to how the plan is laid out and that you actually have a plan.
Yep.
And the beauty of that is that you're constantly redirecting the
Hmm.
conversation,
Yep.
which is exactly what we all should be doing in our business, whether it's email, text,
Hmm.
wait for it, direct messages on social media. Like,
Totally.
again, we don't want to forget about what the importance role, I should say, the important role is of email, and to
Hmm.
make sure that we're leveraging that, because too many of us are all over the place
Yeah.
and we wonder how we don't have time, and we wonder why we're so stressed out and we can't possibly take on anything else because we're too up here
Yeah.
trying to hold it all together, and we're not using
100%.
systems, the tools, the technology to help us do that. Sometimes I put on the GPS to just tell me what to do, even
Yep.
though I know where I'm going.
Totally.
I want to be on
Well, I want to
autopilot.
know if there's police officers on the road. I want to know if there's an accident. Like,
Yeah.
it's okay to do things on autopilot like that so that you can free up some brain space. I had a mentor once tell me
Yeah.
he put on his calendar to change his toothbrush and his razor.
Oh, I
And at
love it.
first that seemed so excessive to me. I was like, really? You can't remember to change your toothbrush and your razor? And
Yeah.
he said, the issue isn't that I can't remember it. The problem is I want to free up brain space so that I don't have to remember minor things like that. And so, and then
Exactly.
once again, he had the same thing. It's a system he created to live and die by his calendar, which I now leverage so that my calendar dictate, like I put everything on my weekend. I'm like, I'm a hike this time. Here's the hike I'm going to do, because I want to know that I'm not overbooking myself. I want to know that
Yeah.
I'm allowing time for rest and,
Yep.
rejuvenation and all of that. But I also want to know that like I've got my stuff handled, and I can only do that if I can time block it and overtime block it, honestly. And then use my system of email to support the habits that I'm trying to build.
Yes. And that's the importance of having proper email
Mhm.
etiquette set up and having a project management system.
Yep.
Yes, it can be complicated. Yes, it can be overwhelming. It doesn't have to be, though. And it's important that you
Uh-huh.
spend the time now to implement that in your business, whether you're starting out new or you're seasoned and you just haven't got
Totally.
it together. It's really, really important because, as you can see from what we shared, it's going to allow you to really have a more streamlined
Mhm.
system set up for your business. And it's going to save you time, which is going to return tenfold later on.
And in return, will have a major impact in every area of your business. Every
Yes.
single one, I promise. I have this rebuttal often because everyone who knows me knows I'm an email freak. Like, I love it. And I have a system that I am unwilling to pivot on because it works so well for me.
Yeah.
And all the time I get I just get hundreds and hundreds of emails. No, you don't. You get a lot of junk mail.
Yeah.
But if you're not leveraging a system, like, so for example, on the weekends when I try not to check my email as much, like if I truly check out Friday to Monday, I might log in and have 600 emails in my inbox. Now, first thing I do every morning is I go through and I sort out, and this is true every single day. So this is true Tuesday all the way to Friday. I just don't do it on the weekends. I go through and weed out all the junk mail and just delete it. And then I file the rest into their appropriate categories, right? This
Yeah.
is this, and that's how I sort them. But that way I'm not stressing about seeing 600, because if I just do the first, like one of my closest friends used to just do the first email and then the next. And then if it was a to do, she'd leave it unread. Well, then
Yeah.
her to dos would constantly boil up, right? So now she has 600 emails that are unread in her inbox,
Yeah.
1,000 that are actually there, 400 unread, the 600 are to dos. Now you're like creating all this anxiety in your head because you
Yeah.
never feel like you're going to catch up, right?
100%.
And so if you don't have a system, and I'm not saying it has to be our system, but if you
Right.
don't have a system in place that's going to support the habits and not create a panic world, you're always going to feel like you're in the rat race. Whereas for
Yes.
me, I don't have mine on unread because I'm a notification
Yeah.
obsessed. I can't handle it. So
Me
I
too.
handle time blocking. because if it's a note, like even one notification right now, if I looked at my phone and it said one on Facebook, I've got to click off of it. I
Me
can't
too.
handle the red. It stresses me out. It just does. But
It
having
does.
a system in place so that you can work towards that efficiency, you're going to save so much time. It's going to feel hard at first because, like anything, it's a brand new habit, but building in that system and staying consistent. I saw someone asked about staying consistent. The answer to that is just doing a system that works for you and sticking with it daily, even when it's hard.
Yeah.
And having a
And
system, knowing the system.
yeah, and I know we're getting close on time, so I want to make sure we catch whatever else you have in store for us, Amanda. And again, we can do another episode on email, and you guys can let us know both in the comments or send us a message, whatever you like. But let us know for what you'd like to see from that future episode. But really, when it comes down to what we're talking about here is once you decide to redirect the conversation to your inbox, there are tools that are built in as well as external ones that will help support you to
Totally.
make that easier. What we started out with at the beginning of this episode was the fact that what I'm seeing a lot on social media, especially in Facebook groups, is people having a great hook. For example, want to see a weekly Zillow hack that got us 23 listings last year. And then there's all these comments for people dropping their email. Well, that's awesome because you want that one thing. But guess what? You're having at least 5, 10, 20, 50, 100, 1,000 people going through that list of comments and probably scraping those emails to put you on some random list for stuff that you don't even care about. And it's like, then you have to go through and unsubscribe, which maybe on our next episode, we should talk about that because somebody had asked earlier, and we talked a little bit about it, but another way to help get people out of our inboxes, sometimes we have to do it ourselves. And what I mean by that is an unsubscribe situation. And actually, I just did that recently, and it was actually really awesome. So maybe we'll have to talk about that one too.
Yeah, that'll be a good one.
Yeah, I'll make note of that. See, that's what I love about live and us having just a conversation.
I know. And people's comments. It's so great because we get to hear from you guys.
Yeah. So, that's the point is like in the solution for that right now is have two addresses. One that is your primary for business and that you would give out to somebody you're talking to, that you're trying to get proposals for, or that you're working with clients. Another address would be for those signups specifically. Yes, you have to be the one to decide when you're in the moment, do I give this email or this one? But once you get in that habit, it becomes really easy.
Totally. And I think that's as easy as a system, right? Like you said, this is where everything goes. This is where connections go. So are we trying to have a one-on-one or are we trying to touch base on something? Here's this email. Anything else? Here you go.
Yes, exactly. Christine's like, Amanda and I can be friends. Yes. Amanda is a great one to have on your friends list for sure.
Christine, we can totally be friends.
Yes.
I care way too much about my email inbox being clean. Mine's zeroed out every night. I'm that crazy obsessed about it.
So, Amanda, did we cover everything that you wanted to? Because I know we're going to wrap here. We'll do a quick after party over on Instagram, and then we'll call it a day for this week.
Yeah, I'll share my quick tip, and we could probably have a whole session on this as well. But what I do is called email batching. So it's just folders essentially. And so what I do is I take the main things that I do in every single day, right? And I'll just make it really easy and relatable to you agents. Maybe it's listing prep work. Maybe it's offer writing. Maybe it's new client connections, those types of things that you do. And then I have a right now folder. And so what I do in the morning is the first thing I do is I look at, say I get 100 emails. I go through, I delete all the junk. That's the first thing I do. I just go through, I click it all. If I'm in a season where I'm getting a lot of junk, I drag it to an unsubscribe folder, and then I time block to unsubscribe my unsubscribe folder. But if it's just like, say 10, I go through and just delete them real quick. And then I go through and I folder them. So I go through and I read and I'm like, okay, Ed wants to meet with me sometime this week. Cool. Put that in a connections folder. Okay. I need to spit this person a proposal. I put it in my proposal folder and I go through and I batch it. And then I go to my calendar, I time block my day according to the projects that need to get done then. But the key for me is that right now folder. And that's anything that can be done in 2 minutes or less. So how I do it is I time block to run my email, and then I time block to do my right now email. Right. So I time block it, and then I go through everything that I can do in 2 minutes. Maybe it's a quick and easy question. Maybe you just want me to send you a PDF of my list of services. Maybe you have a quick and easy like resource that I just need to thank you on. Anything I can do in 2 minutes or less, I do there, because then I feel super productive to start my day.
Yeah.
And so in addition to email batching, then I time block multiple times a day to do that. So I go in 3 times a day, morning, noon, and night, and I batch it all, and so on and so forth. So that is a system that has taken me years to create. So give yourself some grace there should you start creating it. But the easiest way I can tell you to start batching, even outside of those like really specific categories you do, is what's called the 4D system.
Ooh.
And I altered it a little bit, but it's from the book, The Disciplines of Execution, and it's do, delegate, defer, and delete. And I made this one done. So I'll talk through that. But do is all your right now, 2 minutes or less, right? Super easy, get it done. Let's be efficient. Defer, that's the stuff you need a time block for. So this is the stuff you throw on your calendar. Maybe it's Ed wants me to create this whole new presentation. And so I need to time block an hour for that. So I throw the email in, right? Going back to earlier, hey, Ed, NQ, got it. I'll be in touch with next steps, right? Now it's in the defer category. And then I time block it on my calendar for when I can actually do it, or when I think I can do it. Delegate is I shouldn't be doing this. Someone else should be doing this, and I just need to follow up on it. So, hey, Ed's actually making the slideshow. I just need to make sure Ed has made the slideshow. So I'm going to throw that in delegate. And then the delete, to me, I just delete it when I'm running my inbox. So I don't need a delete email. You could use this as unsubscribe. I changed it to done, and then I foldered under done. So done became my, here's everything that's done. So it's all sorted accordingly, like proposals that are done go here, connection meetings that are done go here. But then that way I can still, so that's what I would start with, and then build it to whatever makes the most sense for you and your business. But that was the easiest way for my brain, because I use my inbox as stuff I do not know. That's the unknown stuff. That's stuff my eyes have not tangibly seen. And that's the only way I can go to sleep at night knowing that I handled everything I needed to handle. And then I start the next day with all the new stuff and do the same process. And it has saved me so much time. But I will say it is such a hard transition to get out of letting email rule your life. But I would venture to bet most real estate agents are letting text rule their life. Facebook Messenger rule their life. And they're having to swirl around email, text, all of that. So I would say if you could implement 2 things after our episode today, it would be take it to email.
Yes.
And batch your emails in whatever way, whether that's folders or different email addresses, so that you're in categories, because then you can time block. You don't have to multitask, right? You're not having to do all kinds of things at once. You're doing one thing.
Yeah. Woo, that is so good.
Lean in moment, everybody.
Yes, that is so good. We're going to end this episode on that note. Again, you can let us know what you want to hear from us more on this topic, because again, we're planning to have another episode around email, because it's such a big one. And obviously you guys think so too, which is great. And we'll be back next Monday at 8 a.m. here on whatever channel you're tuning in to us from. And if you need anything in between, feel free to reach out to either of us on social. And until next time, we hope that you have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next Monday at 8 a.m. Take care, everyone.
See ya.